aids are an important part of the learning experience. When I was planning my lesson, I made sure to include these when possible and make the learning accessible to all of my students. On the first day of my teaching and learning segments, I passed out the following set of cards to each team. The teams then worked together to come up with the answers. I then passed out the following set of cards, and the teams worked together to make the number sentences. Using this idea of team collaboration, the students were able to work together and assist each other in creating the number sentences. I also encouraged the students to use their number lines, count up, or use the teddy bear counters if needed. During this time, I walked around the room and checked on the students' work. There were a few times where a team may not have had the correct answer, and I asked one of the teammates to check their work. I then asked the other teammates to also check the work and see and decide together what the correct answer for that number sentence was. By allowing students different visual aids, I was making the learning accessible and giving students a choice on how to solve the problems they were presented with. I also supported individual and collaborative learning throughout this activity. Another way I was able to make learning accessible to the learners was through using the Papa Bear number. This is an idea that we have been using throughout subtraction. We have the kids look for the Papa Bear number, which is the largest number in a subtraction sentence. This is the number that you must start with when you are either counting back or using other subtraction techniques that we have learned. The idea of allowing students to use their preferred method of subtraction demonstrates the idea that the learning experience uses a variety of instructional strategies to encourage learners to make connections, build skills, and apply knowledge in meaningful ways. I was also able to teach a new skill during day 1, relating addition facts to subtraction facts. Since the students are much more familiar with addition than subtraction, being able to make the connection between the two is another learning strategy that the students can use. They first did the addition facts, and then as a class, we created the related subtraction facts. The students figured out on their own that there were 2 subtraction facts that could be made from the related addition fact. I thought that them exploring and finding this on their own was a great observation, and it demonstrated their capacity to explore and discover things for themselves. During the launch activity on the second day of my teaching and learning segments, I introduced the idea of magic math words and told the class that we were going to be math wizards for the day. I then read a few different word problems to the students and had them tell me whether they thought we had to add or subtract. After the students told me whether we were to add or subtract, I asked them what words helped them decide. We called these our magic math words. We then made a list that ended up looking like the following. This list demonstrated our magic words and helped guide us as we engaged in problem solving throughout this lesson and activity. Here is an example of a word problem I read aloud to the students. Yesterday, Katana told us that we needed 4 more marbles until we can have our pizza party. This morning at our bathroom break, we got a compliment, so I put 1 marble in your jar. How many more marbles do we need until we can have our pizza party? The other word problems I read aloud to the class incorporated the students' names as well as activities that they could relate to. I started with the marble problem because every day we discuss how many more marbles we need until we can have a pizza party. I wanted the students to see that they could use subtraction to answer this question every day without even realizing it. I noticed that when the problems were relevant to the student, they were able to determine which words were their magic words. However, once I got to reading problems from the text, the students seemed to have more difficulty finding the magic words. This demonstrates that by using a context, the students are able to grasp the concept and make connections. Therefore, by using the students in the word problems and talking about activities the students can relate to, I was attempting to make the curriculum accessible to all of my students. I relied heavily on the teacher's guide as well as from the ideas presented in the Van de Waal text to help guide my lesson. I found helpful prompting questions and many activities that helped me to create the activities I used in my lesson. I also used a blog called The Teacher's Wife that has a lot of helpful teaching hints that I've used throughout this semester. plan on continue using next semester. These resources help me plan out my lessons. One of the great benefits of the teacher's guide was that each lesson had a professional development section. This section helped me understand what the students already covered, gave me ideas that I could incorporate into my own lesson. By looking at the text and different ideas, I was able to create 2 different lessons that incorporated different mathematic techniques. These texts also helped me prepare to teach the concept of subtraction to my students and ensure that I also understood what I would be teaching. Lastly, there were hints given in the teacher's guide that showed me common misconceptions and gave me prompting questions in case I saw my students struggling. I found all of this very beneficial, not only in my planning, but also in my implementation of the lessons.